Hi, everybody. This is a very special episode for Dave and I. You all know the incredible legend and genius, Manny Marroquin, one of our industry best ever, longest running ever. What you didn't know is that he is also a restaurateur and an incredible entrepreneur. So we're going to take you through a tour of Manny's restaurant called Verse, which is both an incredible restaurant and an incredible recording studio. There's no environment like this on earth. I think you're just going to enjoy this. So if you ever want to go to Verse here in North Hollywood, no sign on the building, you have to know where it is. The easiest way to do it is to do reservations at www.verse.la. And it's the coolest hang with the coolest music in an audio environment that's amazing with killer food and killer bar. You'll see for yourself. Part of the relationship that made this come about is Manny has some new headphones by what I think is an incredible headphone company called Audeze. The NAMM 500 Professional Series, which is Manny's personal signature series. When those boys sit on your head, it's like two pillows that happen to be incredible monitors. You can mix with these headphones. They're like literally near field monitors. Audeze is based in Southern California, and Manny hooked up with them because Sankar, the CEO, they really are committed to utilizing American-made stuff, but also AI in really interesting ways to bring you the best headphone experience you can. Manny's are obviously a signature series, one of the best, but they're coming with some new stuff, man, and you want to stay close to Audeze. So Audeze is bringing this very special episode where you're going to see Verse, you're going to see these headphones, and you're just going to have a ball. Without further ado, Manny Marroquin, the NAMM 500 Professional Series, and the incredible restaurant called Verse. As you can tell, it's not our normal environment. It's a very special environment. In fact, there's no other environment like this in the world. We are sitting in Verse, a restaurant in LA that is headed up and spearheaded by a legend that you all know, Mr. Manny Marroquin, who will be our guest, who's sitting here with us. And Verse is unlike anything ever. It's either a great restaurant or a great recording studio or both. Manny doesn't advertise. It's all word of mouth. And this place is hot as fire. You're going to see pictures of it. It is a gorgeous environment. And you're going to learn how a guy who you know is a mix engineer, taught himself the restaurant business, created the restaurant, survived through COVID, had partner speed bumps, and this place is the hottest place in the city, and I dare say the hottest place in the country. We'll get to that in a second. Please welcome Manny Marroquin.
No, man, thank you.
Yeah, man, I feel like applauding.
You're good for my ego. Please, I want you to stop. Keep going.
Well, because we're in your restaurant, I think we should kick this off with a little bit of a drink and toast this. I've eaten here, guys, and Dave has too, and it is an extraordinary experience. But let's bring in Mateus, and I think we're going to have a drink. Now, understand when we show you pictures of Verse, which you'll see, the bar is extraordinary. And so the wait staff is just amazing. And you got your choices of wines and beers, and they're imported and domestic and not. And it is so thought through. It's such a good hang. So we're going to get a little tipsy. See, you don't pour your wine from the back of the bottle like that. See, you take the neck and do that stuff. That's
Amateurs.
That's right. Look at that.
No, this is the way to do an interview.
Absolutely.
This is like,
by the way, it's Manny's son. It's Manny's son.
Do you have any Ripple?
Because Dave's going to put Ripple on his hair.
No, thank you for having me. Salud. It's two amazing friends over the years. I met Dave when I was 17, 18.
Amazing, amazing. And I must say this. Let me just say this for you too. Mm-hmm. So much of Dave's past is wrapped up in Larrabee. And there's 22 years. And there's so many times that full transparency, as Dave and I kept our relationship going long after I managed him the first round, that I would come over here and spend time at night late, and sometimes it was problems, and Dave would help me solve the problems. Oftentimes loan me money to get out of things. So Larrabee for all of us has a different kind of feeling. We're going to talk about the studio in a second. We're going to show you some stuff in the studio. So I just want to say to you, Master Blaster, your imprint in Larrabee is legendary. As a matter of fact, here's what you don't know. When you got sick, which started Pensado's place, the only place I had to call was Larrabee because you were so good at nobody finding where you were, and nobody at Larrabee would tell me. Like, we'll talk to you later. Thank you. Boom. And would hang up. And I spent so much time here with you, and you did some amazing work here, right?
Well, that's not for me to say, but hell yeah. But an aside, when I was in Atlanta and I moved here in 1990, all I wanted to do was come to Larrabee. I was living in my car and I didn't have enough money for a bus fare, so I just walked. And Christmas, Kevin, the owner, gave me a jacket with my name on it. It was like a Letterman jacket, with leather sleeves and stuff. And I'm in front of a bunch of famous people, and I just cried like a baby.
Yeah, man.
I really love Larrabee.
I remember when I was mad that Larrabee was moving, when Larrabee was in West Hollywood. We were like, where's it going to go? And that's not cool. And all of a sudden it turned into a mecca.
Fast forward to today, Larrabee has not lost any of that charm and sparkle for me, and I don't think it would for anybody else. Manny and I were just talking, and Herb too. And there's no place like Larrabee.
All right, so let me pose this question. You have nothing to do. You're mixing every great record ever. You're hot as fire. You're busy as hell. And you said, you know what? I'm going to open up a restaurant. I don't know anything about it, but I'm going to learn it. I'm going to teach myself. I'm going to make it a high-end experience. COVID. Okay. Let me keep it going through COVID somehow. And, partner speed bump. Big speed bump. Let me keep it going somehow. And you literally taught yourself, created this environment, survived these things, and now it's what it is. Are you nuts?
Definitely. You got to be a little nutty to do something like this. First, being in the music industry alone,
there you
right?
go.
That's like
That's all of us, right.
We're all freaking crazy. Yeah. It was one of those moments where, I don't know, maybe 7 years ago, mixing a lot of records. You know me, I've been in the studio since 15. It's, I don't think it was midlife crisis, but it was definitely a moment where I'm like, am I really meant to be working on records for the rest of my life?
Right.
I love doing it. And this space, which is right next to Larrabee, kind of became available. And my goal, my dream was always to have a studio big enough and put a restaurant in it. Because no one had done that. And when people come to see me at Larrabee, I'll play them whatever I'm working on. It could be something that they don't even like, but you can almost see their soul just kind of lift.
Yeah.
You can almost see it.
Yeah.
Because it's an out-of-body experience we take it for granted. We're there every day listening to amazing music, working with amazing creators. But when you see, my accountant, come in and like, that was the best experience ever. And I don't even like country music or whatever I play, or hip hop or whatever. But it's like, when you present music sounding a certain way in some of the rooms we get to work in, it's a different experience. Yeah. And we're in the, little earbud generation, and they don't get to feel the impact. So I always thought, man, if I can, my room, Studio 2 at Larrabee is pretty small. I'm like, if I can get more people to listen to that and listen to music the way it's meant to be heard, then you make an impact. The timing for this place, was perfect. I started in the trunk in the Suburban. I was the music guy. Pretty soon I'm in the trunk, and then now I'm in the driver's seat. But not necessarily by choice, but it was just maybe a dream that had to be executed a certain way, and it just took time. And I'm glad I got my butt whooped. Those like you said, whether it's partnership or COVID, it just just makes you stronger. And for me, it's the older we get. Look, I mixed so many records, and I just if we can all be a little inspiration to someone coming up, that to me is something that we definitely got to take seriously.
Yeah.
Manny, I'm sitting here thinking, and there's a lot of parallels with the way you started your mixing career with the way you started your culinary career. Have you thought about that?
I have not.
Think about it. Think about it. No school, no nothing.
Right. Yeah, that's right.
Young kid going into something they don't know anything about.
Yeah. And nobody believed in me. I mean, look, I came to, the U.S. at 9. English is my second language.
Right.
I mean, people would look at me and say, hey, you can fix gear. And I'm like, I don't want to fix gear. I want to fucking be in the room.
Right.
And, we all had to prove it, So it was, I never had, it was never an easy, path, but definitely worth it because as you know, there's times where in Studio 2, I would go in the bathroom and I just want to punch the mirror and cry. So those moments really make you who you are.
They do. And you know what? I heard a line, let's see what you guys read. You're either winning or you're learning.
Absolutely.
It's not that you're failing. Say that. You're either winning. Yeah.
Well, you know what? We don't believe, even here, we don't believe in failure.
Right.
We may not succeed at that moment, but we learn from it.
Absolutely.
And my favorite word in the restaurant industry is pivot. I love that word, pivot. And that's what they do here, in this industry. And that's kind of what we do next door as well. Like, if something is not right, you pivot, you adapt. You adapt or you die.
Can I try another correlation to build on your point? Mm-hmm. So I noticed in my life, like you and Dave approach your mixes with a level of detail and stuff, but ultimately we're coming to you guys for your taste at some level. It's trust and taste. True. And I think the way we are as business people, you put your taste on things. I put my taste on things. And then I bet that people are going to like it and pay for it. Mm-hmm. And I'm willing to take that risk. And I take the shot when it doesn't work, right? Yep. Fortunately, it's working more than it's not, right? Mm-hmm. What I notice is that my getaway to decompress is cooking shows. Mm-hmm. And part of what it is, and this is where I think the correlation is the same, you take somebody who has to envision something from nothing, figure out what ingredients to do it, figure out what proportion makes it work and makes it edible, present it in a way that's aesthetically correct, and then make the experience good for somebody. Mm-hmm. And that's a level of detail while you're actually making it. You're not just saying, let me put this together and it's going to magically. I think that's how you guys do your mixes. And I think that's how you've done the restaurant.
Yeah, you're constantly adapting, like you said. And the other thing, what we have to keep in mind too, you said, hey, people come for us for our taste, right?
Yeah.
And so Metallica, I'll never forget this. I think I was in high school and Lars, the drummer, goes, man, you know what? We make music for us. We don't make it for you guys. Mm-hmm. In a very, I wouldn't say egotistical way, but very honest.
Yeah.
And he almost, I was like, oh, what can I learn from that? So I think when we mix records, we mix them for ourselves. Like what gets you going? Mm-hmm. How you tap do you tap your foot? Do you want to cry? I mean, it's kind of like this. Let me get that emotion because I know if I get that emotion, it's like selling that Eskimo fan, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta be a seller. You gotta buy into it first, and it's gotta move you. Yeah. And to your point, you just gotta have a little bit of your taste in everything, and you live and die by that.
What people don't realize as much is that what Manny just described is exactly right. I remember I used to bring records to Dave. It was for him to sort of finish the production. It went beyond the mix. It was like, let me see what you do what you see. And we had hit records from that. But what's amazing about what they do is that they can translate that same passion to whatever the next client is. It doesn't have to be their record. It has to be who they're hired to do. And then they've got to put their mindset around making that same commitment, putting their taste in something. And every mixer doesn't love every record they mix.
Right.
And so it's part of your craftsmanship and your professionalism to be able to do that, sitting amongst two of the best. As we show you pictures of Verse, there's a number of things that you did that are amazing. You traveled a lot to get influences. You used the Renaissance period as things that affected color and taste. There's ideas, the speakers and the beams came to describe let me just say this. As a diner here, you literally can sit, as you see pictures and you see how close the tables are, you sit at a table. The table next to you will not be able to hear your conversation. The band will be playing, whoever the artist is, in an environment that's perfect. You will not even be able to hear the silverware clink. Manny has put thought into this as an audio environment. You also can be recording at the same time, and there's going to be video aspects and stuff that are coming in phase 2. They just now passed their 1-year anniversary. The thought process that you put into that, is that just Manny?
Look, I can't take all the credit, but Helen Meyer and John Meyer up north in Berkeley, I gave them this crazy idea, and I flew up to Berkeley a couple times, met with them, and Helen, the visionary that she is, said, "Hey, I think we got all the technology. I think we have 3 different things that we can combine and get you what what you want."
Right.
And that was like, again, I give her all the credit for being taking a chance on me, because again, I'm the studio rat, It's like, what are you doing in the restaurant business? And they're all right. What the hell am I doing in the restaurant? I have no business in the restaurant business. But, it's kind of like how we run Larrabee. It's all one-on-one, and you apply the same business tactics to anything. And I learned along the way, but the technology needed to be the best. If we're going to put our name on it, right? So we have these panels that are just amazing. They're called Libra panels that are, they're the best sound panels. We have 52 speakers, including some subwoofers. The reason why you can't hear the person next to you, it's a noise cancellation system as well. So all the microphones, 19 microphones, are picking up energy. So the table next to you, you're hearing the bar across the room as loud as you're hearing them. So then it becomes muffled. So you can't really pick up the conversations. It becomes like
each other out.
Yep, exactly. Charlie Brown effect. So, and that's the technology that Meyer has. I didn't invent that, but it really helps to have it in a place like this, because the most important thing for us is capturing content. So anybody that hits the stage, we got an SSL 300 here, which is so over the top, but we're getting some of the best recordings
ever.
Period. I don't know if you can find a better recording. We got fiber optic going to Larrabee as well. So if I want to go through all the analog equipment, there it is, and then pre-wired in all the rooms at Larrabee. So again, it goes back to capturing content. So I'm in the business of content creation and capturing. So that's really what it is. It's a studio on steroids with a food and beverage component to it. And I didn't want the food, I wanted the food to be the main attraction as well. The first year was like, how can we make it the best restaurant in LA?
Yeah.
Well, first we started best restaurant on Lancashire.
Right.
That wasn't hard to that was tough. We got, and then, the Valley, and then LA. But our goals were always to be the best of the best. And our shout out to Oscar Torres, our chef, that really is pouring his heart into every dish. Well, thank you.
Oh, man.
Pouring his heart and soul into every dish, and doing it with just so much passion, kind of like how we are in the studio. You got to have this passion. You got to be a passionate person to sell the Eskimo fan.
Yeah.
And Oscar is doing such an amazing job. He takes, and we work well together. And I got to say, I have the most amazing team at Larrabee, here at Verse. Again, it's unfair that I'm sitting here kind of taking all the credit, but without my team, none of this would be possible.
True of all of us, right?
Sign me up for the Larrabee tour.
Yeah.
And my room better still be there.
It's in Admiral's room now.
As all of you guys are seeing pictures of Verse as he talks about it, I will add this to it. As a diner, as gorgeous as this room is, and when you see the menu and you want to get the tomahawk steak with chimichurri sauce or whatever. If you're a vegetarian, you can do it. The thing about this restaurant that is so cool is that the room is comfortable. Yeah. It looks spectacular, but you can come in here with no pretense. You can relax. It's chilled out, and there's always going to be cool people in the room not acting cool. Like you'll be sitting beside the president of something, you don't know that, and they're not acting that way. It's very congenial. People mix and say hello. And that's frankly, and this is the lesson for you, That's Manny's taste. That's the vibe that he wants to do. This room is mixed for you as a diner and as a listener so that you have the exact experience he talked about in describing music. That's what Verse is. It's a very special place. And I'm not even fawning. I'm just happy that he's my friend. I've had quite an experience. And also, I grew up with you at Larrabee.
True. That's really true.
And there's just no question. And here's the hard part when you're not a mixed person.
Larrabee's the best in the world.
And Manny had the biggest abundance of snacks. I mean, you could roll into the snack room and just throw down.
I remember that.
Me too. I had to change up. So as an experience, it is part of when you don't put limitations on what you believe and what you think, you can make anything. And when you fall, it's how you get up and go. And Manny is one of the best at it. And then you take Larrabee, which we've been talking about. And as you see these pictures, notice a couple things. One is in these rooms, incredible records that you have all been affected by have been done. But look at the style of the rooms. Look at the taste in it. Look at the environment that Manny's creating so that you can listen to music or get your music mixed or visit it or do whatever and feel elevated. Don't discount how important that is in what you do, particularly now that you have all the tools, you can do it on your phone. If you forget that gut thing, it ain't the same. That's why Larrabee is so special, and Manny has made it bigger and pulled it together, and that's intentional, correct?
Yeah, I always wanted the studio to. You'll never see a gold or platinum plaque anywhere. It's all art. Yeah, it's all art. I wanted, and not imagine having an artist, go, recording some vocals and they go to the bathroom and they see Michael Jackson's Dangerous, right? That can really be inspiring, or it could do a complete opposite, right? So let's just take that out of the equation and just be as creative as you want to be. Because then when you get back in the room, that could be your best take, And that really, the two of the biggest challenges when you're doing the restaurant is the obvious. Number one, what is our food culture going to be like, right? Number two is like when you're building, what's going to be our color palette? What's going to be the look, the feel of it, right? And always wanted to go to the Prado Museum in Spain, in Madrid. Finally made it there. I always hire a guide to kind of show us around. We're in the main, the ballroom, and there's 30 amazing Renaissance paintings. And the lady goes, look, there's two things that you'll notice. One is every Renaissance painting has heaven, earth, and hell. And you look at them, even if it's not obvious, there's some elements to it, right? And then she goes, and there's three colors. Every painting has three colors: blue, green, and coral. And I look around. Every painting had those three colors. And at that moment, I'm like, that's it. That's the color palette.
Wow.
If it's good for the Renaissance, then it's good for the Renaissance.
It's good to test the time. Yeah.
And if you look around the room, there's green, blue, and coral everywhere. And that's very soothing. And it's very, and even the design of the Liber panels too. Everything in here has a purpose.
It does.
And it's very, very, I lived this thing for so many years. I didn't, think about much else.
I mean, there are times where I'm in the neighborhood and go, I just want to go to Verse to use the restroom. Like they're just so nice. Like,
the other thing too, talk about like maybe culture. We don't, like we said, we don't really have a company that does PR. It's all internal through Mike, our amazing Mike.
Mike's amazing.
And we don't have valet. In LA, if I pull up to a restaurant and there's no valet, I'm cursing. So that was really, I remember when we made that decision, it was really a scary decision to not have valet, not put a sign in the front. And not really pay a big company a lot of money monthly to have influencers or writers come in. Right. And we made that decision. And it's a scary one because when word of mouth works, it's the best, right?
Right.
But the fear of not, because this is our first baby, that was a very gutsy call. But it came from the gut.
And has been absolutely brilliant. I talked to somebody yesterday at Netflix who had not come to the restaurant. And he's like, man, it's killing me. Everybody's talking about it. Everybody, and you know, gutsy moves that pay off say a lot about the person who pulled them, but also the product that they're doing. The another thing where you apply the Mannyisms, which I love, as somebody puts on events, is you're very specific about playlists and stuff, what people hear.
Yeah.
What's the Manny theory?
So it's funny because I work on all these playlists because I have a lot of time, you know. I always wanted to have like a salsa tune followed by the Ramones, NWA, and I didn't know if it was gonna work. So in the beginning, I would create these playlists that were almost like that's never gonna work, right? And I would stand in the corner and see people's reaction. Not one person has reacted to it. They all love the idea of listening to music in a great environment. Yeah. So then you start to think, why is that? Well, if you go to a crappy sounding restaurant, if they play NWA, you're going to notice. You'd be like, well, they're cursing and how can you play this stuff here? Or the complete opposite. You may be playing some jazz and it's like, man, it's just very depressing. It's like, really, I feel old if I go to that restaurant. Right. But the importance of the like acoustics, and you hear the hi-hat and the sub, and you hear everything like as if we were in the studio. Yeah. So people are way more forgiving to the genre. And that's really important for us to understand that it becomes genreless. I wanted to have a genreless playlist. And every night we have so many of them, and they jump from, doesn't even matter. Now at this point, I'm just like throwing things in because it doesn't matter. And
it works. I mean, I've sat in and done it. And you know, when you're in the business and you go into an audio environment, you never are normal. You're always measuring something. You know, like when I go, my manager hat comes on when I go to a show, and they're like, why are you looking behind you? Because I'm looking to see what the audience is reacting to and see what and I have sat in here and you're just bobbing your head and you're going, I am bobbing my head to Conway Twitty. Like, and then NWA came right after it. And it's like, you're right. It's the environment. It's I call it setting the table.
The experience.
When you set the table, then people are happy to eat.
Also, this is a great time because radio is less powerful, and most of the people that are aficionados of music don't care about genre anymore. They don't even know what it is.
Yeah. And I feel like an artist like Post Malone was very important, and like because you can say he's hip hop, but he's not.
Right. He's pop.
He's rock, but he's not alternative. Yeah, right. Is it pop? Yeah, because it's memorable and you know. Yeah. But what is it? And we all want to put things in the box, right?
Right.
And I feel like he's one of the first genreless artists that really just
blew the doors wide open. And even from a look standpoint and from a performing standpoint, nothing has been conventional, and it's all been cool. Speaking of environment, boy, in this amazing environment, this room does a lot of things. And if you're here as a diner, you don't know how many things it does because you're that's not the point. The point is that you have a great experience. So from speakers and beams to why the floor was put in here to why the panels were selected to the technology, one of the things we want to show you is the clap test. Manny's clap tested verse. So, sir, take it away.
All right. So hopefully this comes across. So basically, it's a convolution room in a physical space, right? So I'm going to do about 3 or 4 rooms, and I'll start by clapping and saying, hey, and you hear the short reflection, right? So I'm going to go to a chamber. I'm going to go to a slightly bigger one.
Wow.
Hey! Now I'm going to go to a theater. Wow. Hey!
Wow.
You hear the brightness of it, right? Symphony Hall.
And those are all created by the original claps you did.
Yep.
Wow.
Hello. Hey, hey! And now I'm going to go to a cathedral.
Ooh.
Hey! And then I'm going to turn it off. Hey, hey, hey!
Oh, God.
Amazing.
So how do we apply this? Imagine Alicia Keys playing the piano. And the first verse is really intimate. We change the size of the room. As it gets bigger, then we just do another side. So all these rooms, we can save all the presets, unlimited presets. So we have one for it's crazy because I've never heard anything like that. And it helps the energy of the room. So there's two modes. There's music mode and then restaurant mode. Now restaurant mode, it adapts to its environment. So if there's 10 people here, it sounds a lot more alive than if there were 130 people here. Then it becomes super, super tight. So now you can hear the conversation even with a band playing. So again, shout out to Meyer. That's John Meyer's a genius and came up with this technology. And now we're just
he defeats you. Like, I think I have it going on.
He's just showing off.
But here's the problem. I have heard this story like 5 times, and every time I leave defeated. Like, I have to go home and think of something like brilliant. You can't even. It's just. And when in the opening, when I said there's no place like this, there is no environment like this any place in the world where the restaurant is a recording studio, and even if people are utilized, look, we know of people. We have friends who have hotels that are converting rooms inside the thing for live music and all that kind of stuff. That movement is happening. They ain't doing this. They're not doing what Verse is doing. They can't do what Verse is doing because they don't have a Manny. And so when I tell you that it is thought through in ways that are just amazing and not done yet. They just passed year 1. Wanted to make sure the restaurant was good. Year 2, there's a whole other set of things. And year 3, you need to get your ass to Verse and come enjoy.
Manny, with this technology, is it possible to have, like say if we're talking and the band's playing, we have our own unique ability to hear each other talk, and every other group of people has that ability?
Absolutely.
Exactly right.
Yeah, that's
really cheating.
Yeah, man. It's you gotta, it's hard to describe unless you do it. You lived it almost. You're like, whoa. And again, we face cancel all the silverware. So imagine being an artist and you don't hear the conversation in front of you. You don't hear any of this. And the recordings that we're getting out of here are as good as anything that I've ever recorded.
Dude.
It's amazing.
I had a table of 10 over on the side. Terrace Martin was playing with Robert Glasper, with the Isley Brothers' hot singing daughter. There was a group of star musicians playing complicated, interesting things. Dr. Dre was sitting here yelling at them in a really funny way. The restaurant was packed. No table interrupted with anything. The music was, everybody could hear. No silverware could be heard. The food was like, and what's interesting about it in his attention to detail is that people who had their first time experience, they were awed at the experience, but they quickly relaxed into just having a nice night. Like, they didn't know all the detail. They're not necessarily audio people. And what was funny is that the celebrity scrum afterwards, because, there's, do you gather? Do you? So, and Terrace had come over and he's very gracious about the show and wanted to talk.
One thing that I've always had in mind from the beginning was what is a supper club? I always wanted to build the supper club of 2022. And if you think about what a supper club is, right? Back in the 40s, you had entertainment, live entertainment. You had your martini and you had a steak, right? And you dressed really well to go out. So what is that in 2022, right? Well, you got to have great food. It doesn't have to be a steak. It could be a vegan, vegetarian. It has to be good.
Right.
You can have a good drink. You can have a glass of Sancerre. You can have a cocktail, whatever that is. But you always have to have live entertainment. But the difference is that jazz was huge in the 40s, 50s. Now we're in a genreless world. So what I want to bring to the stage, we don't want to call it any genre. So people say, are you a jazz club? Absolutely not. We're way more than a jazz club. We're like a genreless event space, venue, music venue. And that was always, getting the team to always think like that we are the supper club of 2022. Somehow the Beatles made it not cool anymore because now you had to go and see them play as opposed to enjoying a meal. So there's a training process that's happening right now with all our guests. Like sometimes they don't even know if they should clap after a performance or this because And as soon as we saw clap, everyone starts clapping. So it's almost like training this culture to be okay with enjoying good music, good food, good drinks in a perfectly sonically treated room.
Can I make a bizarre mixer correlation? Because you both do this well, and I think Pensado's place does it well. You've taken the best of analog and applied it in a digital world.
Right.
And we're teaching guests the analog stuff. Yeah, you can enjoy. Yeah,
the
you
emotion,
can apply.
right? Some of the emotion that we lose and all that.
It's absolutely phenomenal. One of the other things that you both enjoy is a gravitas with the audience because of the work that you've done and with your constituency. So when you put your name on something, you do it carefully.
Absolutely.
What you're seeing here is from an incredible company called Audeze. Manny decided to put his name on a set of headphones. And here's what I guess you can damn sure guarantee. Manny had every choice in the world of putting his name on whoever it needed to be. He chose Audeze for a reason. I've had the pleasure of talking to Sankar, as you have.
Yeah.
And Peter, James, who rock stuff. And why did you, I was very impressed on a number of fronts with them, but why did you choose?
About 5 years ago, a friend of mine introduced me to Audeze. I heard him, and I just couldn't get that out of my head. So I called Shankar, and I'm like, look, if you ever if you needed help, just an extra set of ears, I want to test stuff for you because it's that good. And at the time, Beats was around, and headphone game was really hot. And I never really wanted to do it for that reason. I just love the quality. So he left me the LCD X's, I believe. And I remember I was working with Imagine Dragons' second album, and I ended up, and I think it was the first song that I was just beginning the album. And I remember mixing that song on headphones. And I've never, if you would have said to me, hey, you're going to mix something in headphones, you're out of your fucking mind.
Exactly.
So at that point, I knew that I wanted to do something. And then we just stayed in contact back and forth going, how do we do it? I'm like, look, these are the notes that I have if we were to do something. But what we, and that's why I give them so much credit for getting in bed with someone as crazy as me. This is not for the masses. This is, this is for creators. So imagine having a set of speakers on your ears. And for me, it was really important to be able to travel with these and be able to make decisions, mix big decisions on headphones, which I've never been able to do. You got the bass, 808. I mean, to pop music, you got to take care of your 808s, kicks. The information that's happening down there, you got to be able to, and we're lucky enough to have a big system so that we can carve out on those. But you can do that on headphones now. So I think that the future studio is going to be your laptop, maybe your set of speakers, and a great set of headphones that you can work on. Not listen. You can obviously listen to music and enjoy it, but it's really a creator's tool. I just asked the question on, these are not the cheapest headphones, but how can you justify that? Like, laptop is not a cheap investment either. That's Pro Tools is not in the, so it's necessary. I was going to say monitors are not. So this is an essential tool for creators. And I always wanted to do something so that creators can be confident, especially if you're in your apartment at 2 a.m. and that inspiration strikes, your neighbor above or below, they're going to broom your ass.
That's happened.
You don't want that. You can just you can go in there with confidence and make decisions that you would as if you were in the studio. So I've been testing them for so many years, back and forth. And 5 years later, here they are. And you're right. We don't need to create a headphone. I don't need to put my name or anything on that. But I felt like it was necessary. It's not a speaker, but it is a portable speaker. You can't take your Genelex or your NS10s on the plane with you. You can take those on the plane with you.
And you know what? They're between, sorry, I didn't mean to start, but planar magnetics that they do, but they also have a couple of philosophies what they do with AI is really interesting. And also, they manufacture here. Like, it's in Orange County.
Yep.
We're not talking about supply chain stuff. We're not talking about countries that we know are going to be inferior stuff. They have a very high bar, just in general,
quality.
let alone Manny's. And again, if Manny selected this company, there's a reason for it. You can improve your craft by dealing with their headphones.
I just remembered I got my first pair of Audezes because of you. Remember, we were at NAMM and we were eating at that steakhouse. And Sanker came by. No, it wasn't Sanker.
Yeah, Sanker he came by with my other buddy, Marcus.
Oh, yeah.
I still use those.
Yeah, I mean, look, you can't deny quality. You just can't.
Yeah.
I mean, someone said a hit is like a tennis ball in water. It always rises to the top, right? Quality always rises to the top. Yeah. And I'm here just for the art form and to how do we keep getting better and better. I did these plugins with Waves a few years ago, and I still use those every single mix that I work on. Me too. And it's funny because I always say I created these for me because I'm selfish and I wanted to have a cool set of speakers that I could travel with. So
I want to say this to the crowd. My plug-in was something that I got from you, the original idea.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, listen, thank you.
And I'm looking for a call from Randy, his manager, to work out the back end.
We're going to call my attorney's going to call you
exactly in about 2 minutes. But this is a fun piece because of their relationship, which by the way, as a friend of both of yours, is fun to watch, just because it's so chemical. Manny has always been a supporter of ours. Yeah. Our media center used to be across the street, and I would get a call from Manny. He's like, "What are you doing, man? Can you come over?" And we would look at swatches as he was imagining this, or we'd have a Moose Boosh tastings, and I was like, I don't know why he's calling me, but I am digging the process. I wasn't the only one he called, but I was one of the ones he called. And same thing happened when you had your room at Larrabee. The time period of Dave being hot, but also you're kind of developing into the guy who shared and taught and brought people in. That happened a lot here.
It happened a lot in the kitchen at 2 a.m. Conversations about educating and giving back to our community. I mean, giving back to the community that's given us so much. And
that's what you guys' challenge is. It's to take that analog spirit and that connecting spirit. I often say people, your generation, some of the generation that's younger, are the most connected, disconnected people ever. You want to connect as a human because stuff like Verse comes out of that, or stuff like Dave Pensado comes out of that, or even Pensado's Place, or whatever your vision is. It's going to come from inspiration because you connected with somebody and you learn from somebody. And that's what you also find is that we continue to do that. We'll never get there because that's not how people like us are. We're like, what's the next? What's the next challenge? But so the next challenge right now is Batter's Box. And now I know your friends, you're gonna have to put all that shit down for now and tee up. And he already knows he's gonna knock your block off. So I'm gonna step out of the way and let you tee up Batter's Box. Yeah, have some more. Get ready for the ass whooping. Oh no, please don't do that.
Chug.
Yeah, exactly, because then he'll just go to sleep. All right, you ready to tee it up, sir?
I really am.
Here we go. Fire away.
Favorite ways to plug in that's not your own?
Oh, damn. I was like, the Manny Marroquin signature series. I got to say, the R-Vox still my go-to. Man, that thing, whatever they're doing in the back, amazing. It works. Yeah, it works.
Okay, I don't need a dissertation, just small words. I'm getting tough on these guys.
Yeah, I got you.
Okay, and one that is your own.
EQ, because that's a monster EQ, actually. That's not, that we don't talk about what is happening, but I'll keep the answer short.
Okay,
well, I won't. That's the wrong answer, the reverb and the distortion. Mastering.
Love-hate relationship with mastering.
Summing.
I feel like we're all summing in today's world, so that's the new style of mixing.
Tubes or tape?
Tubes, 100%.
limiting?
Unfortunately, in pop music, we can't get away from it. So I'm going to say I love it just because I have to.
Vicente Fernandez or Celia Cruz?
Celia Cruz. Come
Good
on.
answer. Okay, we did genre. We hammered that. Transients.
That's something we don't talk about often, but it's something when you learn how to control them.
It's
You know,
everything.
the Red Sea parts.
Yeah. Okay. Steak or chicken?
Steak. You got to have the tomahawk, the dry aged tomahawk, man. You got to go for a nice steak with a nice Bordeaux, and I'm a happy man.
And see, I've had the tomahawk. And I'm not even that much of a steak eater. And it took me I just looked at it for 3 minutes. It was just so sexy and was so damn good. So,
you know, we sell this A5 Wagyu here that's unreal. Unreal. And I've never had it. I always heard about it until Chef made it for me. And I got to say, that's the best piece of meat I've ever had.
What do you call it again?
It's an A5 Wagyu.
A5?
Yep.
unbelievable. When
we
Manny
sell a lot of those too.
Man, listen, and you'll see pictures of the restaurant. Manny took me on a tour of the kitchen, and he has a special refrigerator that they hang fish in until it cures properly. And I was like, you mixed Brian McKnight at some point in time. How did you get to this?
Listen, I got to give Chef Oscar all the credit for that, because even I didn't know that you could actually dry age fish, which they've been doing forever in Asia. You know, like in Japan, they've been doing it for a long time. But if you think about it, in America, you don't hear that. The perception of you catching the fish, that's the freshest it'll ever be, and you got to eat it right there. Not with dry aging, no, that's the complete opposite. Wow. So, and it's retains all the moisture, and the skin is tight, so you get a nice char on it. And now we're talking food.
Absolutely, I'm about to get hungry.
We got another couple of hours here.
Yeah.
And dump those 902s. How long are you going to be using them, man?
You know, it's funny because I don't use them anymore. I don't use them as much anymore.
You do.
I do.
I can hear it.
Yeah. I got my the triple D, which there's built-in
I use that a lot.
Yeah.
I use that a lot.
Yeah.
Audience, if you think about it, in the time we've spent, we could have just done Manny's career. We haven't even talked about the records he's mixed. The amazing track record over time that he has not, you couldn't ever lower his quality because it's in him. You've seen a restaurant that he developed at a time when he shouldn't have. You've seen the amazing detail that he's done, how much of an audio experience it is. The bands that he has in, the curation of the playlist, the attention to detail. It means your possibilities are endless. You now have headphones that you can mix on that he's done. Understand how badass you are and that there's no cap on your possibilities. Here's an example of that. Here's an example of that. Even I would say, even what Herb does, an example of that. But it's really, thank you, sir. but it's really about now you going to do it. So, let's let each person close and I want you to be inspired. I want you to come visit Verse so that you can see, whoa, I'm part of this community. That's what this is about. This is about giving back. And also, look, it's about making money too. Like, we're not doing this just out of the goodness of our hearts. You can only imagine what Manny has risked to make this happen during the time. This is not for the faint of heart. But baby, when you hit that ball and it goes out the park, nothing feels better, right? Feels good. Nothing feels better. As we pull the faders down, Dave, give us your perspective.
Well, I love this guy right here.
Yeah, man.
Now, having said that, don't try to do what Manny does. I've tried it. I sneaked in his room, looked at his gear. I looked at the settings. There's no way you can do what Manny does. I've been trying to do it for 31 years, and I'm no closer than before. And the reason is because his background, his family, where he grew up, Latin America is just the greatest place in the world for music, and you can't deny that. And I just want to say that as part of this profession we call mixing, we know who the greats are, and everybody is chasing Manny right now. Everybody.
Listen, I think that having big dreams is so important, right? And I can honestly say I'm a big dreamer.
Yes, sir.
The difference between, following and pursuing your dreams is just, it's really difficult. It's simple, but yet difficult.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta, looking back is, for me, is we're studio rats. They boxed us in. Mm-hmm. And for me, maybe just the knucklehead that I am, I don't want to be boxed in.
Absolutely.
So to me, it was something that I challenged myself. Like, can I do that? Can I do something for myself? Not to prove it to anybody else, but to myself. And hopefully, I always say, hopefully my kids will learn something from that, right? Mm-hmm. Passing it on. And I feel like in the audio community, we're so passionate, right?
Yeah. And
it's a tight community. I always give you guys, props for actually breaking those barriers, because Pensado's Place was the first show that, before that, there were secrets. After that, you guys said, there's no secrets. We all do the same thing. And I think that was a very important time in our in audio history, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like a lot of us are meant to be kept in a certain place. So I hope that there's a bit of inspiration in that. You can do whatever the fuck you want.
Absolutely.
But just know that you got to work hard. You got to really work hard. Surround yourself with the right people. Yeah. People that see the vision, and anyone that doesn't, anyone that cuts you down or anything, just remove them from your life. Yeah. They'll do more harm than you think. Yeah. And just keep being a visionary, being a dreamer, and then try to execute those things. Absolutely. Go, like we said in the beginning of the show, there's no such thing as failure. Yeah. Even if we fail at that, that's a good lesson for your success 10 years, 5 years, 20 years from now. That's right. Bad partnerships is what got me here, because I learned from that. Yeah. And I thank that person for because now I'm a stronger individual. Yeah, absolutely. So in a way, we see the glass half full, and we see it half empty. And I always, coming from where I come from, Guatemala was very war, a lot of violence when I was young. Just kind of made me who I am today. And that means that, man, I'm still better off than where I could have been. So this is like, I'm on vacation. I'm doing what I love to do with people I really enjoy. I feel like verse has made me a better mixer in my head, because I see how hard this job is. And I go next door and people are like literally feeding me grapes and fanning me. I'm like, this is heaven. And you have this incredible amount of appreciation for that art form that if I didn't have verse, I feel like I would take it for granted. Yeah. So it, in a way, mentally has made me a better mixer, because I appreciate it way more. We've been doing it since, again, when I was 18. Yeah. So long time. And for you to be as passionate as something for that amount of time, you got to love it. And I feel like I'm more passionate about the art form today than ever. I work smarter, not harder, but I am more passionate now because I appreciate way, way more. And I got to thank Verse for giving me that opportunity to really appreciate my first love, and that I'm enjoying every day,
There's not much to add when you have this kind of brilliance around you. I was a carpetbagger to the audio world. I was sanctioned and godfathered by Dave. Nobody knew who Herb Charlick was. Now so many people do, and I have so much leverage. So Pensado's Place has made me better. And in somebody who is a manager of artists, there's no other part of the music business where the brilliance is as high as it is in this space. And I've been in them all. And what you're seeing are the people side of it, the friendships, the humanity, the dignity of it, and the passion of giving back. They don't have to. May doesn't have to. Dave doesn't have to, but they do. So in parting and in pulling the faders down, we love you. We're here because of you. People in your world are doing great things that you're part of, and we expect you to do great things too. And that's why we're here, and we'll see you next week.